All right, welcome back to the Nookout Sports YouTube channel. I'm your host, Matt Robinson, and today I'm going to be joined by the host of the Just a Fan podcast, Andrew Montigue, and we're going to be doing a mock draft. How you feeling today, Andrew? You ready to get into this?
Yeah, I feel great. Thanks for having me back on. This is gonna be fun. Let's go ahead and get it.
All right, and after you finish watching this video, go check out the links down below. We'll have the link to my podcast, his podcast. You can listen to us talk about the AFC West and all the stuff that went down in the NFL in the past couple of days. Talk about Dak's contract, talk about every single O lineman getting either cut or having to take a pay cut. It gets really interesting, and the AFC West, man, a lot of offensive line needs. All right, but let's get into this mock draft. All right, so like I just said, we're going to get into it right now. Starting off with the number one overall pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have this one. We saw Chris Sims' list. Zack Wilson is his number one quarterback. He is highly regarded in the league. I don't have the balls to do that yet. Maybe in a couple weeks I'll do it, but I don't got the balls to do that yet. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence because I can die on that hill. I know he's been hyped up this whole time, and that film backs up the hype. He does need to fix some of his decision making. He does need to add a little bit of weight, but he can make every throw in the book. He's 6'6". He underrated runner. Should I say that? I don't know if that's a little stereotypical, a little racist.
Maybe not anymore.
But yeah, not anymore. But he's one of the better running quarterbacks right now. Yeah. He can literally make every throw. He got such a powerful arm. If they don't make this pick, Zack Wilson, and if this pick is Zack Wilson or Justin Fields or somebody else, they will be absolutely ridiculed if Trevor Lawrence is.
The pressure.
Like, pressure of not taking him would be so much more immense. Like, okay, you took him and you're the bust, okay. But Jacksonville Jaguars have to take him. I think he is the best quarterback in this draft. Zack Wilson is a little bit closer than some people might think. But Trevor Lawrence is the absolute right pick in this one. You have to do this if you're Jacksonville, especially Urban Meyer is there. They just have to get the ball rolling. Trevor Lawrence is the pick. And they did tag Cam Robinson, so they are trying to protect him. So we'll see what I do later in the draft with pick number 25. But right now, I'm starting off with Trevor Lawrence. You're up at number 2 with the New York Jets. Or do you want to talk about the Trevor Lawrence thing real quick? Or?
No, there's nothing to talk about. I think everybody who watches football, college or the NFL, at this point, the number one guy is Trevor Lawrence. He has been what we hoped he would become when he was, coming into college football as a freshman, the number one recruit in the nation, won the Natty his first year, been to another one, been to the playoffs all 3 years. What more could you ask of him? He's been awesome.
So you're up at number 2 with the Jets.
Yeah, here we go. Number 2.
Let's go.
The New York Football Jets select Jamar Chase with the second pick in the NFL draft.
Explain, please.
This is a tough pick for me, but I just feel like if you're the New York Jets, you're Robert Saleh, you're Mike McDaniel, or actually no, sorry, Mike LaFleur. Why start your clock now, your seat now, as getting warmer by picking a quarterback in your first year when you don't necessarily have to? I think we're seeing right now John Gruden have the same type of approach where no reason to move on from a quarterback, because when you do that, that's when the pressure really starts. If you're Robert Saleh, you keep Sam Darnold. He has talent. Obviously, he had probably one of the worst coaches in NFL history, Adam Gase, last year. And you pick Jamar Chase. You get him somebody who could be that number one receiver. And I think with the pick also later in the first round, they'll hopefully get somebody else that can help him out too. And I just think that's the right choice instead of moving on from Sam Darnold, drafting Zack Wilson or Justin Herbert, and then having only one other pick in the first round where you cannot put guys around him.
All right, man. This is an interesting one. I thought David was a little bit weird going with the Bengals last week. I have not seen this one before. I'm going to be honest with you. It would be electric. I mean, he gets low-key Julio Jones comparisons. Like, he can be that dude.
Yeah.
But would you –
I don't know about all that. But
Yeah, I know that. But would you – my thing is, would you take him – if you're not going to take a quarterback, why would you take him over a Penei Sewell or somebody like that?
You got Mekhi Becton. who we saw last year, was very good. I think Nick Bosa ended up getting hurt in that game that he faced when they faced against the Niners, but up to the point before he got hurt, Mekhi Becton had done a great job blocking him. I think he has plenty of potential to be your starting long-term left tackle. Rashawn Slater is tempting, and really, if the Jets are going to keep Sam Darnold, I think they should trade back. Look for somebody else or look for a trade partner, maybe the Carolina Panthers, who we know are going to be extremely aggressive in this draft, going for a quarterback, or hell, maybe the 49ers, who we obviously know Saleh has a relationship with. But if you're going to stay there and you're not going to draft a quarterback, I think Jamar Chase is the pick. I know they drafted Denzel Mims last year, but as many weapons as possible to help Sam Darnold be good if he is their guy. And in this mock draft, I think I'm going to try to have a little bit of fun and say he is their guy.
This is a fun pick, and I definitely think if you picked like that, this is definitely going to be some interesting names up in this one. But moving on to the next one, I got the Dolphins. As we said, I mean, their needs are right there. Wide receiver, Devontae Parker is not the guy that they hoped he turned out to be. Offensive line, questionably, Austin Jackson. Solid job last year. I don't know if he's your long-term left tackle, but he does a solid job at tackle. I'd rather have him at right, but they do have Tua at quarterback. I mean, do we stick with Tua? That could be another conversation. Take a Justin Fields, take Zack Wilson because he's there, and that would be interesting to move on from him and just completely blow this whole thing up. I mean, we saw Tua play last year. Sometimes he played well, and sometimes it was just is it rookie growing pains, or is it just that's his limit and that's his potential? Well, I definitely think they give him another year, especially just because of how high they picked him.
I agree.
But then they also traded for Isaiah Wilson for basically next to nothing. So do you think that shores up their O-line? Is it if Jamar Chase is here, I take Jamar Chase. Kyle Pitts is here. Do I take Kyle Pitts? That would be fun, but you already have a good receiving tight end in Mike Gesicki. But is Kyle Pitts a wide receiver? That's another question that we could go into. But this one, I'm going to take Penei Sewell right here. And the reason for that is, yes, they did trade for Isaiah Wilson. Austin Jackson is a solid tackle. But they gave up next to nothing for Isaiah Wilson. They have him on a long-term contract. If he can develop into something, okay, that's great for you. You can push Penei Sewell inside, and he still be a really good guard. Try Isaiah Wilson on the inside. I mean, there was a reason he played 4 snaps last year. So, he is a project for them. You give them Penei Sewell, all of a sudden it's all the way upgraded, and you can work on that Isaiah Wilson project instead of throwing him out there, and if he fails, you have no backup for him. Whereas I think you get Penei Sewell and Isaiah Wilson as the backup plan.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with. And I mean, are you going to play you say you draft Sewell. Isaiah Wilson's not the guy. Do you play Sewell on the right side because that is Tua's blind side? Or do you play him where he's most comfortable at and let him play left tackle?
I believe Austin Jackson played a little bit of right tackle in college too. So yeah. If it were up to me, I would rather have Sewell at left tackle and Austin Jackson back on the right side because I think that's his stronger side.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to protect Tua's blind side and you believe he's your quarterback of the future, you want to have your best blocker on his blind side. So I could understand why they would go that direction too.
And we know defenses, they move edge rushers around anyways. So really, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you would rather have your best blocker be on the blind side. But if that is, if he's like a 90 overall type guy and you put him on the right side, he goes to 85 overall, of his potential, then that's probably not best. You want him to be where he's best at it. So if he can't play right tackle and he is only a left tackle, of course, you're going to just keep him there and let Austin Jackson do that. But yeah, it's a great pick, I think. Again, putting weapons around young quarterbacks is the most important thing.
Keeping them upright. And I definitely think we do see a Devontae Smith a lot here. I think you can get Devontae Smith potentially at that the 18th overall pick. And also this wide receiver class is deep. You do have Jamar Chase, which I think is in a little bit of a tier of his own. And so that's why he gets these top 10 considerations all the time. But Devontae Smith and even I think Jalen Waddle goes somewhere between 10 to 15. But you can get a solid receiver in the late first round, in the second round. Like they have a ton of picks. And so I don't think you would go this high with such a pick like Devontae Smith.
Yeah, no, if you pick Devontae Smith, you can't really be mad. He was very good this year. There's injury concern, but there's only injury concern because of how much he weighs, not because he's been injured before. He has been healthy for the last 4 years that he's played in college. So those concerns are you're projecting an injury on somebody who has yet to be injured. I don't know if that's necessarily fair. But no, that makes a lot of sense. So, the offensive line is the most important thing, really. And,
right.
Drafting somebody like Penei Sewell is huge.
You're up with the number 4 overall pick. Atlanta Falcons, what you going to do?
This one's tough. Quarterback, it should be thought of when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons, and especially in this situation where they have Zack Wilson and Justin Fields on the board. But personally, I'm going to go ahead and take Kyle Pitts if I'm them. I think he is a very good receiver. Maybe he's not, a prototypical tight end that can do everything. And hopefully he is a college player. So you are drafting him with, potential to have him grow and become a good blocker. I don't think Kittle was known as a blocker coming out of Iowa. And obviously now we see he's one of the best blockers in the league. And we don't need Kyle Pitts to, become that good. But if he could become a serviceable blocker, we already know as a receiver, he's very good. I think this would just continue to make the Atlanta Falcons offense very dangerous. Maybe not the best running back, obviously. I think Todd Gurley's probably off of that team now, but Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, that is so dangerous. Russell Gage is not a bad number 3 and actually number 4 option in this scenario. I think this would be crazy. Yeah,
and especially because
get Matt Ryan, your older veteran quarterback.
Yeah, they're tied to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones basically for the next 2 years. So why not?
Yeah. There's no reason to
have the best potential as possible. I really like that pick for them.
Yeah, I think it just makes a ton of sense.
All right, I'm up with the number 5 pick with the Bengals. Top need is wide receiver list on here. I think their top need is offensive line, just of how abysmal it was. Joe Burrow was running for his life almost all year, and it ended up costing him. I mean, he tore his ACL because he couldn't be protected.
Yeah.
We saw Penei Sewell go. This might be a high spot, but I really think Rashawn Slater is what this pick should be. He has the versatility to be, if you want to slot him at guard, you can. But I would put him at left tackle. Him and Jonah Williams as your bookends, you have to do this. Even though Penei Sewell, people will say he's a lot better. Rashawn Slater, he's a plug-and-play guy, and you have to invest in the offensive line. We saw how bad it was last year. They have Tyler Boyd. They have T. Higgins, who had a really good rookie year. To me, you continue to build this offense, and you continue to protect Joe Burrow, and so I'm taking Rashawn Slater at this pick right here.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with. Like we've said, this receiver class is so deep. You could probably get a decent one in the 3rd round. So, hopefully they'll be able to address those needs later. But this is a team, and I think we'll talk about another team also down the line not too long from now, that could double dip on the offensive line in the first 2 rounds, and it wouldn't be a bad idea. We just saw Joe Burrow tear his ACL. That cannot happen again. You have to be able to protect him. And Joe Burrow's a good athletic quarterback, but you don't want to risk him getting injured again. That would, obviously not be good for Zach Taylor and the Bengals. And I don't think Zach Taylor's going to be here much longer anyways. That's a whole other discussion there. But I think this is the correct pick. Their dream scenario is obviously Penei Sewell being there, but with him being gone, Rashawn Slater is definitely the next best option. And maybe I think we're going to talk about this with a lot of teams, and maybe next week you guys will be able to do something like this. But if Penei Sewell's there, they don't like Rashawn Slater that early, they can move back, to number 8 with the Panthers and possibly get Rashawn Slater there. I don't think that's out of the question either.
That'd be a good landing spot for him too.
Yeah.
All right, you're up with the number 6 overall, and I think I know where you're going with this one, but I'll let you discuss it.
Yeah, with this pick, I'm going Jalen Waddle. Philadelphia from Alabama Crimson Tide, going to the Eagles here. I just think that they have kind of already committed to Jalen Hurts being their quarterback for at least this year. And maybe that is smoke and mirrors. It's not true. But if that is the case, getting him a dynamic receiver like Jalen Waddle is huge. I don't think Devonta Smith would be the pick here. Not that it'd be a bad pick. I just think that Jalen Waddle and Jalen Reagor, you're getting so much speed on that offense. I don't know how their new coach is going to do. I think these guys with Doug Peterson, who's a good play caller, would have been very fun. We'll see how their new coach is able to handle it. But I think they had Dallas Goedert already. You're going to have them now too. Jalen Reagor, first rounder last year. Jalen Waddle this year. Miles Sanders at running back. I think that'd be a nice setup for Jalen Hurts to be good. Their offensive line is strong. like I said, Devonta Smith is a close one for me. I would have even minded seeing them go corner maybe in this draft, but I think right here, get them a weapon. If you're gonna make Jalen Hurts your guy, like they're only just like Howie Roseman had just said, I think that's the right choice.
That's definitely an interesting pick. Oof. That'd be fun to watch in the offense, though. If Jalen Hurts can hit him, I mean, this man has Tyreek Hill speed, so he is definitely a potential game changer. That'd be fun and interesting, and it gives me something to think about with the Lions right here. Because are you tied to Jared Goff, or I like how you were talking earlier with, do you want to start your clock off so quickly? Dan Campbell doesn't have his guy, and they have a lot of holes in that team. This is, I mean, we still have what? I think we still have we still have 3 quarterbacks on here that are always first round talk, and Mac Jones potentially first round talk.
Yeah.
But I'm not going there. I'm going with Caleb Farley right here.
Oh, yeah. You've been talking about this one. You like this one.
To double dip, I understand Jeff Okudah was the number 3 overall pick last year. You have Jared Goff. Jared Goff proven to be serviceable. He's a mid-tier quarterback. He's all right. Yeah. You have a lot to fix on the offense. They do need a receiver, but there's no receiver that I like right here that I would think would be willing of this pick right now. Caleb Farley, though, this man's an absolute freak. And to me, finding that other receiver, you can find another receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. All right, we're back into it. Audio cut out, video cut out real quick. So I was saying Devonta Smith, he would be a good option right here, but I just think you can find solid number 1, number 2 wide receiver. You can find solid number 2 receiver play in the 2nd round, in the later rounds. You can find productive receiver play. I should rather say that because Devonta Smith can potentially be a number 1. But you can find solid receiver play in the 2nd round, in the 3rd round. You cannot find a potential number 1 corner past this pick right here, past the top 10 pick in any single draft. If you have Jeff Okudah on one side, Caleb Farley on another side, I mean, that's deadly almost. If you can get a pass rush going, those guys, I mean, we saw Jeff Okudah take his lumps last year. I think he'll be able to progress very well and move into that blue chip prospect that he was coming out. Caleb Farley, I mean, this dude is 6'2". I mean, there's rumors he ran a 4.24, probably more in the 4.3 area, but I mean, that's still elite speed. Great coverage skills, really good technique. If they can get that locked up, they can have 2 really solid cornerbacks, and that'd be something great to build on for the next, 4 or 5 years. That's how long this rebuild is going to take before they even start potentially trying to contend just because of all the holes they have. But if they can get those 2 players, they have Okudah on one side, Farley on another side, I think that's a great step in the right direction for Dan Campbell. So I can start ripping the hands off of everybody.
Yeah, I agree. This would be fun. How do you defend guys like Allen Robinson, guys like Devontae Adams, I mean, guys like Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson on the Vikings? Well, you have 2 elite corners that can at any time guard any of these guys. I mean, obviously they're young and they would need to grow probably a couple of years at least or so, but Caleb Farley, for only playing corner, I think 2 years. I don't think he played it until he got to Virginia Tech. And like you said, his athletic skills are just, ridiculous. Whether he ran a 4.2 or a 4.3, he hit 25 miles per hour on their on the gun the tracker system, which is that'd be fastest in the NFL by far, or 24.5. That'd be fastest in the NFL by 2 miles an hour, by a whole 2 mile or
2 miles an hour.
Yeah, by a whole 2 miles an hour. I mean, that's absurd at 6'2", 190 pounds, super long, great at attacking the football. Obviously, like I said, he's a corner. This is, to me, corner is the 2nd most difficult position to play in the NFL behind quarterback, and he would probably take his lumps the same way that Okudah and CJ Henderson did last year, but you would be excited to have these 2 corners as building blocks. This would be Richard Sherman and was it Brandon Browner? Something like that.
Yeah.
The Seahawk, the Legion of Doom. Yeah. Or Chris Harris and Aqib Talib on the Broncos. Like, that would be on this level of dominance as far as 2 outside corners go.
All right. You're up with the number 8 pick. We got all these quarterbacks available. Let's see if you're going to dip in the well.
Yes, I definitely am. I think this would be a dream scenario for the Carolina Panthers. And I think Zack Wilson, we've talked about him being like the clear number 2 quarterback. I don't know about that. I am going to pick him here. It is Zack Wilson is the pick. I think Justin Fields should get a little more respect than he has gotten so far, but we're going to draft Zack Wilson here. It seems like that's the way the NFL is going to go. I don't know if there's like a huge drop off in between anyways, and it's probably more of a preference thing more than anything. But Zack Wilson is just a very exciting player, also very raw. The injury issues probably should scare you. You know, he did only play, one full year at BYU, and obviously that was this year, extremely productive. He'd probably only have Joe Brady coaching him for 1 year, but, you know, that could be – we saw what 1 year of Joe Brady did for Joe Burrow, so – I think that'd be huge. Carolina had so many offensive weapons, from DJ Moore to Robbie Anderson to Christian McCaffrey. Definitely they're going to have to attack the offensive line in the second round. That would be huge because their offensive line isn't the best. You know, they do have some talent, but they will definitely need more. We saw them attack defense heavy last year. And I think this year, if they're able to get their guy in Zack Wilson, pawn off Teddy Bridgewater for a 3rd or 4th round pick, just some extra draft capital, they're going to be able to put a lot of guys and a lot of talent around him. I think this would be a nice pick for them.
They really are. And that was one of the more fun offenses to watch. Even though they weren't like a great team, they would stay in every single game. Robbie Anderson blossomed there. I love the move. And Zack Wilson, honestly, he could be the quarterback of the future for them. We'll see. But I got the number 9 overall pick, Denver Broncos. If you go listen to our last show, you'll understand why I'm making this pick. I'm going with Patrick Surtain. And I really only have 3 people that I really think will be here. Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, and Penei Sewell. Surtain is my last one, and even though he's my last one, he is still a really good player, really good technician, takes after his father in a lot of the stuff he does, knows the game in and out, and Vic Fangio needs this cover 3 guy. He needs somebody that can step in day one, get the job done, not have to be coached up too much. Just put him out there, make sure he's in the right spots. I think he'll be a good, solid building block. And if they can, we'll see what they do with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. Maybe by the time this comes out within the next few hours, we'll see what happens with them. But I think if you have him on the outside, you have Justin Simmons on the back end, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb up front, you're building up this defense again. And that's another step in the right direction. I mean, we talked about on the show, Drew Lock does have his pieces in place. He has his receivers. He has not the best line, but it's serviceable. Maybe can get him a running back, tight end. He has Noah Fant. So he has the weapons around him. It's more, if you want to be in contention, you have to build this defense up a little more. And I think that's going to start with Patrick Surtain. And honestly, keeping Von Miller. If you want to be, if you think Drew Lock is the guy and you're going to be in contention.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think this is a very good pick, kind of an easy pick for them. They would have had to, choose between Farley or Surtain here, and obviously Farley gone, so Surtain is the guy. Corner's a huge need for them. I think offensive line, they definitely could have gone, but this scenario is kind of tough for them. Only one of the guys really that they'd probably look for to choose. I mean, Micah Parsons, he was a guy maybe at the end of the season teams would have thought of, but I think he's dropped now a little further. Wusu didn't play himself into it. Yeah, that's what I was like, man, to get Micah Parsons on this Vic Fangio team would be great, but I think Pat Surtain does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, put the number 10 overall pick. Is this what Justin Fields going for?
Yeah, I think in this scenario, this is a doomsday for the Cowboys. Both top offensive tackles are gone. Offensive linemen, I guess, in general, if you want to say Slater's a guard. Both top corners are gone. They don't need a receiver. If Kyle Pitts is there, they'd probably take him, tight end if that was the case. But they obviously don't need a quarterback. They just paid Dak. This is too rich for Sam Cosmi. I'm going to go ahead and take Christian Darrisaw. If this was the situation that they had, I think they might trade back. Probably, almost certainly they would trade back from here. But obviously, we're not doing that today. So Christian Darrisaw is going to be the pick. Tyron Smith has been injured. He's also pretty old. I think he'd be able to easily take over for him in a couple of years or so. I mean, hell, probably after this year, he'd be their starting left tackle. Good player. I watched a lot of ACC football being a Miami fan, and he did very well against Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips, mostly Roche in that game. But just a really good job, stopping one of, to me, the premier edge rushers in college football last year, and he's kind of come on the scene late, or just only this year. Didn't really have a big following last year, but I think he'd be a nice pick for the Cowboys. They have already a strong offensive line, great weapons around Dak, and I think this would be a nice pick.
It'd be a fun one. I think they wish. Yeah, I think their dream pick to be here is Rashawn Slater, just because of his versatility to where you can have him playing on the inside, and then once it's time to move on from Tyron Smith, you can move him out there. Whereas Darisaw, he's mainly a tackle.
Yeah, that is tough. But I just think they got to get any offensive line help. I mean, I think their dream pick would be Farley or Surtain.
Oh yes, for sure. But
just big time, especially they just let Chidobe Awuzie hit the open market. That's another, one of their corners after Byron Jones just last year. So
just turn his head around. Would have made a lot of more money if he just turned his head around a couple times.
It's so tough for the guy with the situation. And I mean, Micah Parsons, they wouldn't draft him. They obviously have Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, so linebackers out of the question. Jace Horn, this is way too rich for me as far as Jace Horn goes. There's no safety that's worth a pick. So this would be a tough spot. They obviously have so many receivers. They have their quarterbacks, so this would be a no man's land situation for the Cowboys. But since we're here,
we'll get to the player I want to talk about a little bit, because there's a player that I see go in this area where I think is a little bit more potential than production right away. Once we get there, once we get to the pick, we'll talk about it. But I'm up at number 11 with the New York Giants. I mean, they do need an edge, but we've seen Russo be here a few times, and I just think his 1 year production, you can't take it that high. But they released Golden Tate. Sterling Shepard hasn't been too healthy the past couple of years. I think of Rashad Bateman just because Dave Gettleman loves the bigger dudes, loves the thicker dudes.
Wow.
And he's not going to fall in love with Devontae Smith. But I'm not Dave Gettleman, so I'm taking the better receiver, the Heisman Award winner, Devonta Smith. He routed everybody up. As long as he stays as elusive as he was in college, which I think he can, he has great footwork, great speed. I think he'll be able to do it. Give Daniel Jones someone to throw to. Daniel Jones, as much as people love to hate him, is not the worst quarterback in the league. He can make his throws. He's solid. You have him. You have Evan Ingram, hopefully. I think you can build something on that offense. But, Evan Ingram every year is potential, not as much production. You get Saquon back, opens up the offense a little bit more, because, I mean, once we saw Saquon go down, no one respected that running game at all.
No
one rarely respects their passing game. But if you can have a solid wide receiver and you have Saquon Barkley, I think this elevates their offense a little bit more. And their defense, at times last year, played solid football. James Bradbury is a great corner for them.
Well, their defensive line is very strong.
Big dudes.
They do have Kyle Shanahan's son, Blake Martinez, at linebacker. Not what you'd prefer, but it's not. You could have worse. A very good run stopping defense last year, like you said. And Devontae Smith, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram in this division. That's money right there.
Yeah,
that is money right there. That's a lot of good games from those players. I think offensive line.
Oh, hold up. Okay, go ahead.
I think offensive line would have been that would have been a possibility too.
I just don't know, because you do have all that money still tied up in Nate Solder.
Yeah, you do, and you'd hope that the guy from Georgia, I'm blanking on his name
Andrew
right now.
Thomas.
Andrew Thomas would take
your name, bro. Come on.
I know, would take a step forward after his pretty abysmal rookie season, especially after the 3 tackles taken after him all played very well. But neither here nor there as far as the Giants goes. And let's move on. Pick 12, the home team. Obviously, we're both Niner fans. This is a dream scenario for us, and maybe we did pick in this way so that it would be a dream scenario for us. We have our pick here of Justin Fields and Trey Lance, and Justin Fields.
We're not going around.
ETN would be fun. No, Justin Fields is a pick. This would be easy. A run to the booth moment for probably call, because the draft is not going to be in person. But for John Lynch, this would be easy. I know the Niners say they like Garoppolo, and I'm sure that they do. I'm sure he's a good dude, whatnot. But injury issues and inconsistent play is not something that you want your quarterback to be known for. And at this moment in Jimmy Garoppolo's short 9 or 10 year, that is what he is known for. Yes, he led them to the playoffs. He was the quarterback on the Super Bowl team. But really, out of the 3 years he's been here, it's been a lot of missed games and a lot of inconsistency. I just think Justin Fields would be nice in this offense. He has so much potential. Coming out of high school, there were some, I don't know if 24/7 had him, but I'm pretty sure ESPN had him as their number one quarterback ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And it's been fun to see both of these guys live up to the potential and, be what we hope that they would be, two of the top quarterbacks in this draft just 3 years later. Justin Fields has just as big of an arm as anybody else in this draft. There's reports that he runs about a 4.4 40 time. That is freakish for a quarterback, especially a thick, big quarterback like him. He's not built slender like Lamar Jackson. He's built a little bit bigger. I like his running style more than I like Trey Lance's running style. I think Trey Lance runs a little more like a running back and puts himself in positions to get injured, kind of like, Colin Kaepernick or Tim Tebow used to. More so in college for Tebow. But I think Justin Fields keeps himself a little more safe, has a very strong arm, and has all the potential in the world. People are killing him for his play recognition skills. He's 20 years old, right? That's for Kyle Shanahan, who we all think of as a quarterback guru, to coach up and get done, right? Like that's his job, to work that out of him and make him be the best he can be. Everybody likes to give Kyle Shanahan's the Mac Joneses and the Kirk Cousins and the, Jimmy Garoppolo's or Jared Goff type guys who, they're maybe not the best, most talented guys, but, he's going to get the most out of them. That's fun. That's cool. And I'm glad he can get the most out of the bad guys. I want to see him get the most out of the best guys, though, the most talented guys. I want to see him do that. He got off in 2017, not picking Mahomes, not picking Watson, and thank God not picking Trubisky. I think it's now time for him to pick his quarterback. Unlike Robert Saleh, unlike Dan Lambert, who's the Lions coach? Yeah, Dan Campbell.
The ferocious Dan Campbell.
Unlike some of these guys who don't yet have to pick a quarterback, I think it's about time that the quarterback guru, Kyle Shanahan, picks a quarterback. I love him as a play caller. I think he's great. As a decision maker, I think he's been good, but I want to see him now do what he's best at. And we all think he's best at anyways, and that's picking a quarterback. So Justin Fields is the pick.
I like that pick. And as you were saying, Kyle Shanahan has never got his guy. Even though he's had first-round quarterbacks before, he didn't want Johnny Manziel. There were reports about that. Yep. He had RG3. He still picked Kirk Cousins because he liked Kirk Cousins better than he liked RG3. And if he was – we've been talking about this off air just because we love the 49ers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If this was prototypical Kyle Shanahan, non-evolved Kyle Shanahan, he's going Mac Jones here. And he's comfortable going Mac Jones here. Because Mac Jones is your Kirk Cousins. He's making all those throws. He's just elusive enough to get the job done. But he doesn't have that flash, that one clear standout thing that he does extremely, extremely well. He's accurate. Okay, he's really accurate. That's really good. But he doesn't have that Justin Fields mobility. He doesn't have Trevor Lawrence's arm. He's a great processor. And that's all you hear from Kyle Shanahan's offense. He wants a robot. And that's very well, and he can get the job done with that. But as you said, get the most out of the people with the most talent and the most potential. And don't get the most out of the people that have solid talent, but the reason that they are getting so much recognition is because, you're pulling all of that out of them. It's like, well, why don't you just get the guy that's already oozing with talent?
Yeah, and I think Niner fans, there's going to be some, probably split down the middle that would probably hate this pick because they love Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah.
If you're telling me we're getting Garoppolo for the next 3 years, playing 16 games a season, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think he's definitely good enough to be the quarterback of this offense and get us to where we need to go, to where we don't want to go, to the Super Bowl. I just can't trust he's going to stay healthy. He showed that in New England. He's now shown that here.
He's been healthy one year.
Yeah. If this is any other team, Niner fans would be on that guy. If he played for the Rams, we'd be making fun of the Rams for wanting to keep him. Just got to be honest here. Sure, he's a talented, good player, but health.
And the biggest. Also, I'm in the Niners fan boat where, at his best, he is the 12th best quarterback in the league. At his best,
top 12, I would agree.
At his worst, probably the 24th best quarterback. He lives in that 12 to about 22-ish range, I think.
Yeah.
That's where he absolutely lives. Like at his top end, he's 12, 11 maybe, but he never cracked in the top 10. But you can get it done with that level of play. It's just you don't want Kyle Shanahan to coach it out of him anymore. Like you want him to take that next step on his own and not have Kyle having to babysit him and not be able to open the full playbook. But yeah, talked about the Niners enough. Let's move on to the Chargers right now. And this one's really interesting because usually Christian Darrisaw will be here. But they really need to fix his offensive line. We talked about the AFC West in our last podcast, so go ahead and give that one a listen because we try to fix almost all these teams. And yes, you can get a guard, you can get a tackle later in the second round, potentially in the third round, but impact guys that just can be in day one. I don't know if they'll fall in love with a Jalen Mayfield, if they fall in love with a Tevin Jenkins. I still think it's a little bit early for Cosme. I still think so. Go ahead.
I know this is your pick, but I'm just throwing this out here. Jalen Phillips and Bosa will be fun.
I know. Jalen Phillips, I don't know why. I can picture him. Dude is Sean Marion if he's in a Chargers jersey. Like, that's all that I picture when he's in that jersey.
I think we talked about this in the last podcast a little bit. Yeah. This is really early, but damn, that would be interesting.
Yes, it would be. Replace Melvin Ingram with Phillips.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so fun. This is pre-free agency, so this is coming out the day before free agency. Free agency, I believe, is on the 13th. This is going to be on the 12th.
Yeah.
Until I know that they have that, if the offensive line is still broken, I am still going to go offensive line with this pick just because of how poor it is. Just because of how much they need it. You have to protect Justin Herbert. We saw what happened with Joe Burrow. Potentially, if they don't protect Tua, it can happen to Tua. Like, you need to protect your important assets. Justin Herbert's already proven that he can honestly play like a top 5 quarterback in this league. He's up there. He's taken more steps. He's further along than a lot of people would have thought by this point. I am going to take Elijah Vera Tucker right here, though.
Oh, I literally have my mouse on it. That's what I thought you were going to go with. Yes. I knew you were going to go with Cosme.
Because Cosme, I like Cosme, but he's 6'7", 300 pounds, has a lot of technique stuff to figure out. Elijah Vera Tucker, I think he can play right tackle, but if you put him as guard in this spot, I would love that. But this is counting on the Chargers signing a left tackle, like we talked about in the show, as an older left tackle, like a Villanueva, or potentially getting Kelvin Beachum even, maybe to play right tackle, someone serviceable. Yeah. If you put Elijah Vera Tucker, he solves your interior problems right there. He has great versatility, great technique. I would love this pick for them, and they have to go offensive line. Honestly, if they sign enough people in free agency, a couple guys, like if they get a Corey Lindsey, if they get a Villanueva, if they get somebody to replace, I can potentially move this to the second round. This won't be the most important need, but as of right now, there is nobody on their team, on their roster right now that I am comfortable throwing out there and protecting Justin Herbert for another season. So I'm taking Elijah Vera Tucker right here.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I completely agree. Offensive line is huge, and I think this is the other team that I was talking about earlier, where if the Chargers double dipped on the offensive line in the first and second rounds, it would make total sense. You want Justin Herbert to have as much talent, and that means offensive line also talent around him to succeed. And like we talked about yesterday's podcast, on the NFC West podcast, their defense has plenty of talent. Maybe if there was a corner here, you'd think about it, a J.C. Horn. But I think offensive line makes the most sense.
And hopefully I didn't cripple you, because now you're up next with the Vikings. Hopefully I didn't handicap you.
Yeah, this is a weird pick for the Vikings. Sam Cosme obviously is staring me right in the face, and that could be the pick. I don't know. I'm thinking almost Jalen Phillips here also, though. Daniil Hunter missed all of last year.
And Ngakwe's a free agent too.
Well, Ngakwe is he's on the Ravens.
They traded him. I forgot about all that. Yeah, then Everson Griffin was let go last year, so the pass rush is potentially a big need for them.
It is a possible big need, and with Daniil Hunter, I think it was a serious neck problem, right? Like he missed all of last year because of that.
Something like that.
I mean, it wouldn't be crazy to draft Jalen Phillips here, but they seem pretty content on having Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, and him not being very mobile they did release an offensive lineman.
Riley Reef, their right tackle.
Yeah, Riley Reef, right? Yeah, their tackle. So you gotta pick a tackle here. You have to. I mean, the tackles have been flying off the board. There's no way you're gonna find one in the second round who is of year one starting caliber. So Sam Cosmi's the pick here. Maybe not what I wanted to go with, but I just feel like you have to reach here for a need, and I think that Cosmi here is a bit of a reach, but it's such an important need for the Vikings that that's got to be in for me.
That's an interesting one, just because I like the potential of Cosmi, but stepping in right away, potentially filling that right tackle spot. I really like that. Yeah. I really would rather have him be a right tackle than a left tackle, even though left tackle is his more comfortable side. I just don't know if we'll be able to handle it. And as you said, they flip rushers all the time. But yeah, he has a good potential. But I'm moving on to the next pick. New England Patriots at number 15. Kyle Pitts didn't make it here. Potentially Rashad Bateman's here. But it's a spot for him. Devonta Smith, if he made it here, definitely be a spot because we saw last year. We saw the past few years. Patriots have no weapons on that offense. N'Keal Harry's he's moving up a little bit, but I mean, Philip Dorsett, he was there a couple years ago. Like, is that a weapon? I mean, you were going to say something real quick.
Trey Lance is on the board.
I forgot. I'm taking Mac Jones. That's it. No, I'm not.
I was about to say, what?
Honestly, though, bro, tell me it's not the wrong.
That might be their guy. I know.
It was a joke. I'm going for it. I'm taking Mac Jones. A good processor, makes all the throws that you want. He's a robot. He's not Tom Brady. I'm not saying that. He's Tom Brady from like 20 years ago. He doesn't have the potential to reach where Tom Brady's at, but he makes the throws necessary. He's safe with the ball. He's going to hit the guys over the middle. He's going to hit the guys in the slot. He's going to hit your check downs. Not going to kill you deep, but Mac Jones is a very solid quarterback. The Patriots need stability at that position. We saw Cam Newton wasn't the answer. We saw Jarrett Stidham not the answer. No. They need somebody else in there. And as you said, like with the other guys, like you don't want to start the clock that early. It's Bill Belichick. No one's taking this spot.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick. Okay, you give Bill Belichick a quarterback that can make the throws. Give him another weapon in the second round. They traded for Trent Brown, so they shored up that offensive line. I actually really like this spot for him, and I think that Mac Jones is a plug-and-play starter. He'd be a day-one starter in training camp, whereas Trey Lance, I'd rather him sit behind somebody for a year.
Yeah, and they have plenty of money, too, the Patriots do. Like, they should be resigning who's the guard that is – they didn't yet resign him, but like Joe Tooney, he's going to be back on that team. Like you said, they have Trent Brown. So this is a strong offensive line, and, yeah, I think Mac Jones would be a great pick. I mean, his deep ball – I like his deep ball better than – Garoppolo. I think he has maybe not the strongest arm, but I think he's a very accurate down the field thrower. We saw plenty of times. Spiral. Yeah, we saw plenty of times hitting Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and even John Mechie, who's still at Alabama. But I think that's a great pick. I do. He seems like a Patriots quarterback. Now, Mel Kiper. Don't call him Tom Brady, right? We don't want to do that. That's a bit ridiculous, but I do think he has a lot of talent. And yeah, I agree. They need somebody who can kind of take hold of the ship and steer it. And that's probably not Trey Lance in his first year. But I do think that Trey Lance will be getting picked here coming up pretty soon. I see some teams that would love a quarterback.
Yeah. All right, with number 16, who you got?
Oh, man, the Atlanta Falcons. Arizona Cardinals.
We're ending it right there. No.
The Arizona Cardinals. The pick for the Cardinals is going to be Naji Harris. No, sorry. Travis Etienne. I'm going running back here.
Okay.
This offense is obviously very good. Kyler Murray, extremely dangerous. They have DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best, if not the best receiver in the league. Tight end would be fun here. A little too rich for me. A lot of offensive linemen have been picked. Offensive line is definitely their biggest need. But I think it'd be fun to get them here. Travis Etienne. Which is the explosive offensive weapons they already have.
Yeah, no, I love Travis Etienne. Home run hitter. Especially they value speed in that offense so much. Him with Kyler Murray in the same backfield running a read option play, that's going to be deadly right there. They do need better. They need more help with speed wide receivers because they didn't really hit on anybody. Andy Isabella, he's not the guy there. Don't know what's happening with Larry Fitzgerald. Christian Kirk is really good, but he's not the deep ball threat or anything like that. He's more intermediate to shallow routes. I really like that pick, and I think it is going to be a home run.
Yeah.
Could you have gone other places? Definitely help this defense a little bit. We saw J.C. Horn a little bit get talked there just because they do need another cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially another linebacker, but I like the pick. I understand it. And so I'm moving on. Number 17, Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. Come on, man. Las Vegas Raiders with the number 17 overall pick. All these defensive needs, they literally need somebody on each spot in the defense. On the defense line, linebacking core, safeties, and corners. They need all of those pieces.
Yeah.
And we literally seen them release their whole offensive line, and except for Courtney Miller and Rodney Hudson. This makes this way more interesting because they didn't have a pass rush last year, so I would think they like Rousseau and Phillips just because, one, I think John Gruden will fall in love with Rousseau's whenever they have their pro day. I think he's going to fall in love with somebody that size with that potential, and he's already shown some of the potential. So I can definitely see them falling in love with that. They do. Mike Mayock and John Gruden love the blue blood programs, and they love picking from those places. So Miami would definitely be one of those. Anybody from Alabama, like a Barrymore or something like that, I think it's a little bit early for that, but it's potentially.
Damn straight about Miami.
Okay. Second best team in the ACC. I'm not third best. I like North Carolina. Yeah, but offensive line, honestly, I think Gruden will like a Mauler, like Tevin Jenkins. Interior, if Vera Tucker was still here, I would have thought about it, but I don't really like it. I think they go after somebody in free agency, and I think because you already have your left tackle, I think they go a guard in the second round potentially. I'm gonna go with Jalen Phillips right here. We talked about it in the last show. I don't know if Gruden will be able to look past the injury history, him retiring from football, but he was a former 5-star. He showed production. He's from a great school. He did it against guys that are going to be drafted this year. I think Gruden falls in love with his tape, and they end up picking him right here because they need an injection of something into that defensive line because they were struggling a lot last year.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very, very good pick. I'm a huge Jalen Phillips fan. I've been telling you, I think, since like the beginning of the season. I remember telling you he's going to be a second-round pick, and then telling you late in the season, like, yeah, this guy might not be in the second round. And clearly we see now he just completely outplayed our expectations. And that leads me now to the Miami Dolphins. This is their second pick. Obviously, they drafted Penei Sewell earlier in this mock draft. I think now you got to go ahead and get Tua a weapon. I think they're going to address receiver in the free agency. There's a lot of good, solid, older, and even some younger, talented receivers in the free agency. I'm going to go here, Naji Harris. And that's two running backs obviously going in the first round, but I just think that makes a lot of sense. Get him his old running back.
It's a cardinal sin.
I know. But I think it makes a lot of sense, though, man. He's so good. Running behind this hopefully improved offensive line now with Penei Sewell. You also, it's obviously a former teammate of Tua that should help him be more comfortable. Naji Harris can catch the ball in the backfield. He can pass block, and he runs his ass off. What more could you want? If you're the Steelers or the Bills, you should be pissed at this pick because this is a guy that both of those teams would have been looking at very hard. He's a bell cow, take the majority of the carries. He's a 1,000-yard rusher to me in his first year easily. I believe he's a very good player.
I absolutely love the pick, and as we said, this wide receiver class is it's deeper. All wide receivers. Honestly, it seems lately like every year the wide receiver class just get deeper and deeper, where you find productive players in that second, third, fourth round on day 2 and day 3. But yeah, that's a fun pick right there. I definitely, once we get trades involved, I can see Miami trading from their second round pick and trading up back into the first round so they can get Naji Harris have that 5th-year option for him. Available. But Now I'll move on to the Washington football team. I don't know if you've seen this. A lot of the Washington football team fans, I don't know if they just don't watch football. They're riding with Taylor Heineke. They think he is the dude, and they talk about him like he's the dude. And I'm like, he played one good game against Tom Brady. It's one solid game against Tom Brady. Hold your horses. Like, there's a reason he's been in the league for a little bit, and he just bounces around.
Yeah.
So, okay, you go ahead, start Taylor Heineke in training camp. But once preseason starts, Trey Lance is going to be your dude. Once preseason gets going, just Trey Lance, he's a solid runner. He's mobile. And I might be a little bit more run first than pass first once he gets to the NFL, just because even when we saw him in game reps at North Dakota, like there'd be games where he'd throw like 16 times, he'd throw 20 times. So he's not the guy that's going to light you up all over the field when he first starts out. But I think over time he will develop into a really good quarterback, especially I love what Washington's doing there. They're building a new culture. They have a lot of good stuff going on that defense. You have Terry McLaurin, one of the best young receivers in the league, if not the best. Get him a quarterback. Give him someone that you can grow with. Because right now, Taylor Heineke is not the option. We already saw Alex Smith. Great story, great comeback story. I love everything that happened there. You got to move on. And I think Trey Lance is moving on. And if he wasn't here, I think Mac Jones still would have been a really good option for them too.
Yeah, just get a quarterback in there. I think receiver would have been a decent pick here also. Maybe Rashad Bateman to pair. But, yeah, no, quarterback, if there's one here or they trade up, getting a guy in there like Trey Lance, very talented. And you could ease him in even with Taylor Heineke starting a few games, kind of like Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick last year. I think that'd be a very nice pick. And that'll go ahead and lead us now to the Chicago Bears, who are just devastated that Trey Lance didn't fall to them. If they want a quarterback in this draft, and really same for the Washington football team. Both those teams are likely going to have to trade back. Obviously, in this draft they fell a little bit, but for the Bears here, I'm going to go ahead and draft Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle from Oklahoma State. They just need talent on the offensive line. If they're going to go ahead and keep Mitchell Trubisky, keep Nick Foles, they got to have somebody who can block for these guys. I don't think Kyle Long is going back there after announcing he's going to be returning. There are some older vets in the free agency, a lot that we talked about actually yesterday in the AFC West podcast, but I think it's important that they address this need in the draft. If they are losing Allen Robinson, I think Rashad Bateman would have been also a fair pick here, but we're going to assume, I guess, that they keep Allen Robinson. And even if not, there's plenty of receivers like we've talked about. This class is deep with receiver. And I think the offensive linemen have gone a little quicker in this draft than in some, but they're going to go ahead and get their guy now.
I really like that pick. I think he's a mauler. He'll last there for a long time. And, I mean, hey, MVP Mitch might be back there next year, so you got to have somebody to protect him.
Yeah.
I mean, iron sharpens iron. That's Robert Saleh loves to say, but Tevin Jenkins going up against Khalil Mack and that whole defensive line, that'll be a good building ground for him.
Yeah.
So I'm up next with the Colts. I really like what the Colts are doing. Carson Wentz, he's back with Frank Reich, so I'm comfortable with him now. I'm comfortable enough. You have to give him time in the pocket. Costanzo retiring really hurt them just because they could have honestly – they needed another cornerback. If they didn't have that, cornerback honestly would have been my top option right here. Get another receiver in there potentially because they do have Pittman, but I think T.Y. is not going to be back next year. Just get somebody else going. This is a tough one. I'm going to go offensive tackle just because of how big of a need it is. And this Colts team is one of the most complete teams in the league, but they just need a little bit. They're one player away. They're a couple players away, and it's just, will Carson Wentz be that guy? That's something that we'll see this year, but I'm going to take Jalen Mayfield. I like his mobility just a little bit more, solid technique, but just I like how he moves. He's a big dude, moves people. He's a mauler. I'm taking Jalen Mayfield for the Colts. It's just, to me, that's a good fit right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that I feel kind of bad for. 2 years ago, before Andrew Luck retired, this was my Super Bowl team that year. Obviously, after he retired, it wasn't. But I thought they were so close, and then Phillip Rivers, who's the guy from the Patriots, they had step in for a little bit, but yeah, Brissett. But and now they have Carson Wentz, and you got to protect him. You have to be able to protect him. He has a lot of weapons. I think they're probably going to be looking at a receiver later in the draft. Then right now, though, Jalen Mayfield's a nice pick to pair him with an already good offensive line. He should be able to seamlessly fit right in. Right here now, Tennessee Titans. I am going Gregory Rousseau.
Mm-hmm.
Miami Hurricanes. It was between him and Azeez Ojulari, but I'm going Rousseau here because I like Mike Vrabel a lot, and I expect him to be able to teach and help mold Rousseau. I think he kind of can play multiple positions along the defensive line. He's maybe not the fastest speed rusher, but that's fine. They already have that guy in Harold Landry. He's a power rusher. He can rush from the inside and the outside, and with some teaching and some coaching, I expect that he's going to be able to be a very good NFL player.
Next to Jeffrey Simmons, too. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun defense to watch. And I made that pick last week, I believe. If not, it was a little while ago. I love that option for them just because of his versatility. Because as you said, when he was at Miami, he did play on the outside, but most of his production does come from the interior. And so he's versatile. He can move along that line. And Mike Vrabel, being who he is great linebacker. He's been a really good coach in this league. I think he'll be able to unlock Rousseau's potential.
Yeah.
All right, so moving to number 23. This one's me, and I'm helping Robert Saleh out in this one. There's no quarterbacks left, and I was honestly not going to take one. Kyle Trask, I don't know. He's not a day 2 pick either, or a day 1 pick.
No.
Wide receiver, I can think Rashad Bateman right here, but you already took Jamar Chase at number 2, so I'm not doubling down, especially in the first round.
Yeah.
There's nobody I really like on the offensive line, as they need another receiver, but they do have a high pick in the second round, so I think that's when they go corner. So I'm going to go up here to linebacker. I'm going to give Robert Saleh his Mike linebacker.
Ooh.
I'm going Michael Parsons. The potential.
He fell to 23.
He fell to 23.
That's crazy.
And so you get your Mike linebacker, you get a great athlete who's slipping just because of like some off the field stuff, some interesting stuff. Because you guys should go look it up. It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
But I think in New York and Robert Saleh as his coach, I think he'll be able to keep him just going. He'll be able to help him mold him. I mean, Robert Saleh, all the way back when he was with the Seahawks, when he was with the Jaguars, he was a linebackers coach. He had Telvin Smith. He had Bobby Wagner. He had Coach KJ Wright. Bruce Irvin, that's the last name. All those guys, Robert Saleh helped coach. And so to get a linebacker with this much talent that he can mold even more and even further, he's going to be able to get the most out of him. And, I mean, you do have C.J. Mosley that you paid there. So, I mean, he might not immediately step in and be your Mike, but I think by the end of his contract, he will be their starting middle linebacker, calling all the plays, and I think he will be a really great player leading that defense.
Yeah, and also he came in to college football as a 5-star defensive end. He was an edge rusher coming in, and they moved him because he was so athletic and so smart to middle linebacker. So he's new to the position and very good at it. So I love this pick. I think he still has a lot of room to grow, and like you said, they still have C.J. Mosley. They could use. They could easily use him as an edge rusher, use him rushing the passer, blitzing, and stuff like that for Robert Saleh.
Yep.
All right. So, I am going to go ahead and go with J.C. Horn here for the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 24. I think this is, and maybe a little bit earlier, but this is right around the range where you want to draft the J.C. Horn.
Yes.
I think the talk of him being the Niners pick at 12 is ludicrous. That'd be crazy to draft him that high. I think he's good, but he has a lot of room to grow. Very physical, almost a little bit too physical. You're probably going to see some early penalties on him, but you put him on a defense that has plenty of veterans, so much talent on all 3 levels. I think this is a very good team, a very good place for J.C. Horn to be able to go, to grow, and to learn, and to be able to realize his full potential.
I like that pick. We've seen, the Steelers haven't really had too many good cornerbacks over the past few years. Hopefully J.C. Horn can buck that trend. We'll see what happens, but that's definitely going to be looks to be a lot of holding penalties and pass interference penalties when he's at least in his rookie year. But moving on to the next pick, Jacksonville Jaguars at number 25. This one, I talked about it earlier. You have to protect Trevor Lawrence. He is the prized possession. You played so poorly for Trevor Lawrence. They did tag Cam Robinson, which I think was a good move. They paid a little bit extra for him, but you just keep that consistency, you keep that continuity with whoever's already there, and you get a solid blocker. So not some guy that's going to overwhelm everybody, but he does his job most of the time at a very good level. But I'm going to draft another tackle right here just because, Cam Robinson, he is tagged, so somebody that can potentially slide over to the left side once Cam Robinson potentially leaves. Or, if you sign Cam Robinson long-term, they can play a solid right tackle. I like the potential of Dylan Radins, but I don't think he'll be able to step in day one. I'm gonna go Lee Eichenberg right here. He's a good mobile guy. He's a Notre Dame tackle. He has the technique that's been taught to him. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. He knows where he's supposed to be. He's a smart tackle. You pair him with Trevor Lawrence, that might be his blindside blocker for years to come. Or if not, you still protect Trevor Lawrence. And at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask for. You don't want Trevor Lawrence touching the ground. You want him touching the ground as little as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shore up that line even more and get Liam Eichenberg there.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Right? Again, putting weapons and offensive linemen around young quarterbacks, that is the main goal. And that's another good one. I wouldn't have minded seeing you even maybe reach a little bit for like a Creed Humphrey there, putting him in between Andrew Norwell and who's our other guard? Also a very good player. Blanking on his name right now, but I think that was a very nice pick. Picking up Eichenberg there. So now we have the Cleveland Browns. This is tough for me. Kwity Paye is still on the board, and edge rusher we know that's a big need for them. Kwity Paye? Kwity Paye? Yeah.
Yeah. You keep saying Kwity.
Kwity Paye, edge rusher out of Michigan, but I am tempted to go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with it. I'm going Owusu-Koramoah. I just think that he is so versatile, so good for that. He'd be so good for that defense. I know there's some good linebackers you'll be able to find in the second round, but hopefully, you pay Myles Garrett and draft Myles Garrett at number 1 for a reason, and that's for him to be your big dog. If he has to fight through some double teams because he doesn't have as much help around him, then so be it. But man, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he's a tight end stopper, all around weak outside linebacker, or even play a little bit of strong safety if you need him to. I think he's a defensive weapon type of piece. Jeremy Chin, Isaiah Simmons, can do a little bit of everything.
In that mold.
Type player. What?
In that mold of those.
Yeah, in that mold. And I just think that'd be fun for the Browns and Kevin Stefanski. Joe Woods, former Niner coach, of course.
There you go. I'd like that pick. I really do. If Rousseau or Phillips were here still, I think that's the spot I would want before I take Owusu-Koramoah for the Browns, but I really like what you did right there. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, only a few more picks left.
Yep.
This one, I'm going to take the player that I was talking about earlier that I think has a little bit more potential over production at first, and that's Kwity Paye. He has the physical traits. He's a big dude, almost 277, I believe. He has elite traits. He just needs to put it all together on the field. And so I think in a rotational role in Baltimore, he can work out well because eventually he can win that starting job. He can be the starter. But I don't think he's a day one starter. That's my thing with him. I think long term he might have the highest ceiling out of anybody just because of his tools. But day one, it's almost like, remember Ziggy Ansah a few years ago when he came out? He was a little bit more raw than some of the more refined guys, and it didn't end up working out for the Lions. He had a couple good years, but I think Kwity Paye, if you give him time to develop and don't throw him and don't rely on him in the first year or two, he can be a really good, solid production piece. And especially with the Ravens team, they love these bigger dudes. They love these guys coming off the edge. They lost Matt Judon. I think he could step in that role right there, and him with Tyus Bowser and maybe somebody else fill that area. So I'm taking Kwity Paye right there.
Yeah, that's a very nice pick. Of course, you expect the Ravens to sign back Yannick Ngakoue, and yeah, him and Quiddy pay off the edges would be nice. They have big Brandon Williams in the middle to take up blockers, so I think that's a very strong pick for the Ravens there. And go ahead and move on now to the Saints. I got Rashad Bateman here.
Okay.
I got Rashad Bateman here. They probably have more pressing needs than receiver, but they let go of Emmanuel Sanders today. We saw Mike Thomas. He's limited, very good at what he does, but what he does is still extremely limited. I think Rashad Bateman is going to help open up the offense, and for whoever the quarterback is, he's going to have now one very elite player in Michael Thomas and another in Rashad Bateman who has the potential to be very elite.
You already know it's Taysom time. Come on now.
Oh, I mean, if it is Taysom, I guess that would be my pick, but
yeah, I know. We'll see Drew Brees next year. I really do like that pick. It's interesting to see what they're going to do with Marcus Williams, just because they did tag him, but I don't know if they'll be able to afford him. So if they do trade him, this potentially could be where Trevon Mayer goes.
Yeah.
But I do really love that Bateman pick. Someone that can play opposite of Michael Thomas, that has that. I mean, he has very good speed, good route runner. I love the pick. I really do. And I kind of wish he was here for the Packers. And there's one
receiver there for them.
Yeah, there's
I think they like him a lot too. I think they like Terrace Marshall a lot.
I like Terrace Marshall right there. Yeah, I'm struggling because do they wait till day 2 and try to get a Spencer Brown or Walker Little? And are you comfortable with that player blocking Aaron Rodgers? Blindside, I believe, right? Or would it be a right tackle?
That's going to be tough.
I don't know. But Dylan Radin's coming in day 1. I think I like the potential. If I can work with here, I'd rather have him. But they've been searching for a number 2 receiver for so long.
Yeah. I also, maybe they're just not, they just don't care. It's just like, we're going to throw out Alan Lazard and Valdez-Scantling. And
that's what they've been doing.
Aaron Rodgers still going to beat you.
Let's get a 6'2 to 6'5 athlete on the other side of Devontae Adams, and we can win that way.
Yeah.
I think they'll target a receiver in the second round, maybe a Nico Collins, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
I really want to take – we'll see. Hopefully they sign a tackle in free agency so I can take some of these receivers comfortably. But right now I got to take Dylan Radins.
Okay.
I have to. Just because you got to protect Aaron Rodgers. He's getting up there later in the stages of his career. You don't want him taking a hard hit, like a really bad hit coming off the blind side, coming off the other edge. I think this is more I like it just because they're drafting for need.
Yeah.
And I have to protect Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the reason they make it to the NFC Championship game. You have to protect him and make sure you get there again. It's just having another receiver would get them over the hump into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they also have their run game is so important to them. Obviously, we know Matt LaFleur, he runs Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay type of zone running offense. So you need athletic linemen. That's super important to have guys that can block. And maybe Dylan Radins has a year or two learning curve, but we expect he can move some people around at least.
From
next year or so.
To Wisconsin, stay in the cold.
Yeah, yeah, still cold.
Speaking of the cold,
all right,
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills here.
We signed Matt Milano today, 4 years, $44 million. So where are you going with this one?
I'm going to go Azeez Ojulari. The Bills, for me, they were like, if Naji Harris or even Travis Etienne is here, that should be the pick. I just want to see a good running back on that team. But there's plenty of good running backs. I mean, I could have even gotten Michael Carter here and went super crazy. 3 running backs in the first round. But Azeez Ojulari, strong edge rusher from Georgia. They got to be able to get after the passer. They have to be able to get after the passer a lot better than they were able to last year. We saw how important it was facing the Chiefs, getting pressure on Mahomes, and really that's just any quarterback. And they do not do that well. And hopefully Azeez would be able to help them out there.
I think he would be too. And this is one of the spots I was circling for Xavin Collins, just because it would be hilarious to see him and Tremaine Edmonds over the middle. Like,
dude, that's like 2 defensive ends playing middle linebacker.
Yeah, I know. It'd be huge. But they re-signed Matt Milano, really good, productive guy. I like Azeez Ojulari. coming off the coming off the edge in Buffalo, that would be fun to see. And I mean, that Buffalo Bills defense is already crazy good. Like adding this piece right here might set them over the top. And I really like that pick. And then moving on to the Chiefs. Oh my goodness. I mean, Eric Fisher, no Mitchell Schwartz. Their center was all right, and he's a free agent. No Kelechi Osemele. Duvernay Tardif, I think he's going to be coming back next year. So you have one returner.
Yeah.
You have one guy that can start on the offensive line. And we have Wyatt Davis here. I like that.
I mean,
Jackson Carman. I like that. Alex Leatherwood, I think he's one of those guys you try out at tackle, and then you bump him into guard.
I like him a lot more than I like Carman.
Shit, you're not me, though. My thing is, if I'm going for a true guard, I'd rather have Wyatt Davis.
Yeah. No,
if I'm going for a true guard, I'd rather have Wyatt Davis because both of these guys have the potential to play on the outside. Leatherwood, I like him, but bro, those knee braces scare me. I know he hasn't been injured too much, but this dude, when you see a lineman that wears all that gear, it's like that is a little bit off to me. So I think
the Stone Cold Steve Austin knee braces.
Basically, like I think he'll be able to do well, but I'm gonna take Wyatt Davis right here. I think we build through free agency. The Chiefs will build through free agency, get another tackle. They're really gonna have to build through this draft though, just because there are still $4 million under the cap. We'll see if they make any maneuvers before free agency starts. But there's just no tackles that I like that I would be comfortable taking right there. I understand the potential for Leatherwood, and as a tackle, that would be really good. But I'd rather have somebody like Wyatt Davis where it's like, okay, I hit on this pick. I want to be comfortable hitting on this pick. It is a safe pick, and that's why I'm doing it, just because you have to keep Patrick Mahomes healthy.
Yeah,
you have to get him. And I think if I were them, I would target a Spencer Brown at the back end of the second round. Someone that's big, he's going to have the learning curve, but I'm not right now. I'm not comfortable taking Leatherwood right now, but I really love Wyatt Davis' game. He's a mauler. Be able to run people over. I mean, we saw their running game last year. It wasn't special.
No, I think that's a very good pick. He moves very well also, and I think in an offense that runs so many quick screens and slip screens and all that type of stuff, he could be able to get out in front and get to the second level, take on linebackers, take on safeties and whatnot. I think that's a very good pick for the Chiefs. At the end of the day, instead of reaching for an offensive tackle, you pick the best guard in the draft, or the best guard who can move anyways. I think Humphries is also very good, but probably more of a power scheme. So, yeah, I think Wyatt Davis is a great pick. I would love him on the Niners. I hope he's there in the second round.
Oh, yeah. All right, and you're up with the final pick of the first round, Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. It comes down to two players for me, and that's Eric Stokes or Christian Barmore. Ultimately, I'm going to go Christian Barmore. The Buccaneers are probably losing Ndamukong Suh. We saw Carlton Davis take a step forward as a cornerback this year. And, I think Barmore could add a lot to the team. Obviously, he's going to have probably an easier time than most rookies because Vita Vea is right next to him. They have 8-finger Jason Pierre-Paul, and they 8.5 fingers, I think, actually.
Pretty sure it's 7.5.
7.5, 8.5. Something like that. Jason Pierre-Paul and who knows that they're probably going to get back Levante David. They're probably going to get back. I believe
they already signed him 2 year, $25 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Jeez, if that's the case, that's pretty crazy. And then also their edge rusher, Shaq Barrett.
Shaq Barrett, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to come right in and have a pretty nice ease into the league where he's not going to be a main focus the way, say, like a Quinnen Williams might be on the Jets, or he was, or the Ed Oliver on the Bills a couple of years ago. I think that'd be a nice pick.
I really do like that pick. Step in for that in Ndamukong Suh's footsteps, just because I think they're not going to be able to afford Ndamukong Suh. I think he might take a pay cut, but you still want to get younger at that position anyway. Christian Barmore is a big dude, fills right in. And I just looked it up. Levante David did sign a 2 year, $25 million contract extension with them. So,
I mean, if they're able to get Levante, Chris Godwin, and Shaq Barrett, damn. I mean, that'd be pretty
crazy. Back in the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah. Nick Bosa has something to say about that, but okay.
Okay, well, Jimmy Garoppolo will have something to say about that too. Yeah, but that pretty much wraps it up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Doing mock drafts once a week. That'll be released every Friday at 5 p.m. on this YouTube channel. Anything you want to plug real quick, Andrew? The Just a Fan podcast that he does, I'll plug it for you. Just a Fan podcast. I'll put the link to his channel below. I think he's going to try to record some more stuff starting soon.
Yeah,
I'm going to be on there potentially. Maybe we do mock drafts over there too. We'll have mock drafts here. We'll have mock drafts there. But definitely here every single Friday, 5 p.m. It'll be a new mock draft uploaded. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at NoCapSport. And follow Andrew on Twitter. You can watch him talk shit to Niners fans. Even though he's one of them. No. I'll put his @ in the description below. And that's pretty much it. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you hated. Tell us what you loved. And peace out. See you guys next time.
Canes, baby.